Welcome to Carlton's Math Corner. Today we are going to study relations. At this time, please make sure you have your vocab packet, your math journal, as well as something to write with. Our target today is I can represent relations. First of all, let's talk about what is a relation. Well, a relation is a set of ordered pairs. That means an X and a Y. And the X guides us on the x-axis on a coordinate grid, and the y-coordinate guides us on the y-axis on the coordinate grid. So these ordered pairs are kind of like a map for us to follow as we're moving along the coordinate grid. So ordered pairs, you could write that down. X-coordinate, we just talked about that. That's the first number that shows us how to move on the horizontal axis or the x-axis, and then y-coordinate shows us how to move vertically on the y-axis. Mapping, we're going to talk about that in just a moment. It's another way to organize ordered pairs. This actually illustrates domain and range in a different way, and I'll show you that in an example coming up. Domain, remember, is a list of all the x-coordinates. Range is a list of all the y-coordinates, and we talked about domain and range in a prior video, okay? So let's look at expressing this relation in different ways, because our target is that we can, show the relationship between ordered pairs in different ways. And one of the ways that we can do that is to take these ordered pairs or this relation and show it in a graph. And we are familiar with graphing because this is something that you probably have been doing for a while. You started in elementary school graphing, and then now we graph in middle school as well. And so here, this shows our relation as to how it looks on a graph. Remember, we always start in the origin, so we start at the origin first, and then we move right or left based on if it's positive or negative, and then we go up and down based on if it's positive or negative as well. So -2, +3, that means I would go left 2 and up 3, and there's my point. Another way that I can express a relation is using a table. Now this table has just the x-coordinates and the y-coordinates. There's no work in there to show how they got the y-coordinates, because I know in prior videos we have talked about, functions. We can plug in the x-coordinates and do some rule to them, something to them, and then get the y-coordinates. And this is actually like a simplified version of that. But that is one way to show those ordered pairs. And then the last way is mapping. Now look at mapping. What do you notice? Because this is probably new to you. Why are there arrows between numbers? Why are there 2 arrows going to the -2? Well, I noticed that there's an arrow between 2 and 5. And I know that there's an ordered pair that's 2, 5. And then there's an arrow between -2 and 3. And there's an ordered pair, -2, 3. So these arrows actually show how the x and y's are connected. Okay. Now down here, I noticed that these 2 ordered pairs both have a y-coordinate of -2. And so in order to simplify it, instead of repeating -2 twice, they only put -2 once, and then they drew arrows to that to show. And so mapping is very similar to creating a table. However, sometimes it's actually even in more simplest form because of the fact that we're not repeating numbers. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to try expressing this relation in the 3 different ways that we just talked about: table, graph, and mapping. And then I want you to tell me what is the domain and what's the range. Thank you so much for joining me at Carlton's Math Corner, and I look forward to meeting with you again.